welcome. As Rowan mentioned, I'm a developer at HQ, and today I want to talk to you about a plugin that I've been developing. Okay. Does anybody remember Choose Your Own Adventure books? Yeah? Okay. So, for nobody that never read them, Choose Your Own Adventure books let you read a passage, and then you'd have an option as to whether you went to this page here or that page there, and then you made a decision and you continue on. So in that vein, I made a course. Has anybody used the lesson module at all? Yeah? Okay. What I wanted to do, well, the way this came about, is we have a Learn Moodle MOOC. Is anybody familiar with the Learn Moodle MOOC? It's a big online course. It's run by us at HQ. Anybody can join, and it basically teaches people how to go through and use the different core elements in Moodle. So we had a situation where everybody at HQ was asked to join this online course, and I wanted to make something that was actually entertaining. So I wanted to make a course, and I took all of my knowledge of sort of messing around with Moodle to try to give rewards and open pathways and sort of give engagement. And I put it all into this, ended up being one activity, which was the lesson module, and it ended up being a Choose Your Own Adventure. So what have I done next? Yeah, so I had some restrictions. I couldn't use any plugins. I could only use the core Moodle. So what I did is I used a whole bunch of orphaned activities because the new feature that allows you to just sort of hide stuff wasn't available. I used activity completion, and what else did I use? I can't remember now. Something else. Anyway, I took all this together so that I could sort of create a whole bunch of achievements and a whole bunch of other sort of trophies for making your way through my course. Okay. Here's the tricky part. Because I can't give you a live demonstration, I made a video. It's very quick. Okay, so this, for one activity, is my list of different icons and orphaned activities and miscellaneous bits and pieces. As you can see, it's very, very long, and it made organizing my course cumbersome. It wasn't easy to use Moodle. And so I was thinking to myself, oh, this is horrible. What could I do? And so I had the right idea, hey, let's make a plugin. So I did. I made a plugin. Oh, okay. Forgot to talk about how the actual course went. Everybody thought it was pretty good. They thought it was a nice idea. They had fun. That's because there was no actual real content in it. All you went is you made your way through Williams, which is a town between Perth and Albany. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And the idea is you would go somewhere, you'd arrive, and then you pretty much die in every sort of different situation. And any time that you died, you'd have like a little icon, and you could click on that, and you'd get this ghost. And then that would appear in your course as a trophy. And it was like, you found this way to die. Yeah, as I said, there wasn't much in the way of actual real sort of learning content, but it was an interesting way for people to navigate their way through the lesson activity. So yeah, like this thing sort of worked, but yeah, it had its flaws. Initially, it wasn't very obvious as to what the students needed to do, I had to put some instructions at the start. It's like, if you see sort of one of these icons here, please click on it. Basically, it would go, when you clicked on it, it would take you to one of the orphaned activities that would then show this image, which would then set off the course completion for that label, which would then display the actual image or award in the section for whatever. So, it's horrible. But, you know, it worked. Oh yeah, and cheating. So because the whole course was developers, they're all going, oh, I can just put in the URL and get directly to this link. I actually had a safeguard against that. I put in some secret ones that you could only get there by the URL, and then when I looked at the activity completion report, I went, aha, right, they've obviously just went straight to the URL, they fail. So, but yeah, obviously that's not what you want when you're doing your own course, so once again, I've finally got to my plugin. So, my plugin is called Stash. It's actually a combination of a few plugins now. The initial one was a block. What it mainly does is you have like a block which has all of the different items listed for the students to see what they've actually accumulated. So you can take these items and sort of sprinkle them around your course everywhere, and it's a lot more obvious to the student exactly what it is that they're supposed to do. Availability. That was the thing that I was missing before. The combination of availability allows you to control what sections that the student can get access to or what activity they can use. And part of this, one of the plugins associated with this, allows you to actually use these items that we've created to control whether they can get access to a different activity or to a specific topic, and then they can progress in that sort of fashion. And the last plugin is a filter. So I won't get into that too much at the moment because it's kind of complex, but it helps the teacher put these items around the course. Oh yes, recently I introduced a way that you could actually kind of craft things. So students would find these different items and then the teacher could provide a way that they could kind of trade in these items for another item. So one example is, say you've got 3 different fragments of something, say material, and you can exchange it for a full shirt, and then with that shirt that gives you access to something else. So basically you're still just getting items, but it just adds a little bit more interactivity by the student. All right, so sort of tying this back, this is not a full solution for gamification. This only really focuses on one sort of specific player type, as it's sort of labeled. There's various definitions depending on which sort of research that you do as to what type of player types there are. But basically, it sort of applies to people that like to explore or are looking for completion, or you know, some sort of validation from actually going around and doing some sort of activity. So it's yeah, as I said, it's not a complete solution, but it's something that you can sort of tie into your course and maybe add with something else, and that can sort of then create like a full gamification solution. Okay, so now I'm sort of going to go into the details of how you actually go about using this plugin. I'm going to first start off with actually creating items in this weird thing I've done. Okay, so I lie. First one is what the actual block looks like. So these are some of the items that I randomly picked, and this is what it will look like when the student has actually picked up a few different bits and pieces around your course. And this is what the actual item itself looks like when you've actually positioned it somewhere. So this is a screenshot from a course page. I've added that as a label. Anywhere that you have an editor, you can sort of create and put these items into the editor, and it will appear. So in this situation, it's a label, but it could be feedback at the end of a quiz, or it could also be feedback from an assignment. You know, you thought that the student's assignment was good enough, and so you go, all right, here you go, here's this reward, and you post that into the feedback, and it will display for the student to collect. Okay, now we get to the nitty-gritty. So, for the teachers, when they go into the setup for their stash, you'll be greeted, well, with no items initially. I've created a few here. But you click the Add Item button, and then you give your item a picture. I think that's mandatory. And then you're optional, you can add a description and various other bits and pieces. Then you need to give it a drop location. So what this is going to be kind of difficult to explain, but you want to describe where this is located, where the student can find it. You give it a label so that you remember where it is. And then you give details such as how often it can be picked up, whether it's like every hour, if it's a once-only occurrence, so they can only pick it up once, or if they can pick it up 5 times or indefinitely. It could be that they can go back and get it every 5 minutes, or once a day, or once a week. And this allows you to control and sort of try to help students to repeat activities or go have a look at a forum like once a day. So sort of encourage in that sort of way. Ultimately, you come to this screen here. You can customize how your pickup looks. You don't have to have a button. In this situation, we do. And here we have a snippet. So this is the key part here. You want to copy and paste this snippet, and then you put it anywhere where you have an editor. You just paste that in. And the filter, which I said I'd mentioned before, will take this piece of code and transform it into this item that you see in the top right corner. Okay, trades follow a similar sort of way to when you're creating them. Obviously, you need to have a bunch of items for you to actually create these trades. And then you take the same sort of snippet, it looks very similar to the one for the items, and you copy and paste in the same way. This is an example of what a trade ends up looking like. In this situation, I want to give the student some metal armor, could be anything, and they have to accumulate the different bits and pieces to actually enable them to grab this item. Once again, page looks very similar. You press a button, it gives you, I think, the next screen. Oh, that looks terrible. All right. Doesn't normally look that bad, it's just that this is very faded. But yeah, you put in your title, and then on the left-hand side, you put in the items that you want the student to gain. On the right-hand side, all the items that they'll lose, the various quantities, and then you press Save Changes or Go. And then you copy and paste the snippet anywhere around the course that you want your students to be able to do your trading. Another page. This here is a report, so you can actually see what your students have actually managed to find around the course. It's fairly basic, but it also allows you to reset it, so if you decide that you want to remove all the objects from your student, you can just hit the refresh icon on the side and it will get rid of them all. All right, next YouTube video. Okay, this is the student. They come along, they pick up their coin, They've now got 2, so they can make the iron bars. So they go and do that. As you can see, it pops up in the stash. They go and have a look at it, and voila, iron bars. Very easy. And where's my mouse gone? I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so I think I sort of touched on this a little bit before. It's a way that you can sort of give a reward in feedback. You can scatter them around so that you try to get them to sort of explore all of the content on your course. And repeat spawns will allow them to keep on coming back to see if there's any new material on your course. Pictures overlapping there. Oh well. Yeah, all of these are free. They're located on Moodle.org. Just do a search for Stash or Gamification, and that should bring up the actual plugins. Okay, yeah, Moodle.org/plugins will take you directly to the plugins area, and that will give you access to these things. Thanks. So, yes, any questions at all? Yes? One item per cohort. It's per student. So there's no scarcity associated with this at the moment. These drops are always available to all of the students. There's no groups or cohorts. You can't sort of go only for this group and not that group yet. So, but it's a nice idea. Not yet, though. There's been a lot of people have suggested that they'd like it if their students could actually trade items, but that's not part of the current trade thing I've got happening at the moment. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes. I released the basic version about a year ago. It's currently located on about 200 different sites. So far, the feedback's been pretty positive. I haven't had any negative feedback, so yeah. Yes? Yes, so I didn't give a good explanation, but you can put it into the feedback and then set it for, say, you know, if you achieve over 70%, then you see this sort of feedback, and then you can just post your item into that point there. And so if they're not completing the quiz, then or not getting a passing grade in the quiz, then they won't see anything. But once they do, then that item will appear. Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. I actually have this on my laptop. If you are interested in a demonstration, then please come find me and I'll be happy to actually show it working. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're running a little late, or are we on time? We're on time? Ah, keep going, okay, yeah. No leaderboard as of yet, but yeah, I'll make a note and see if I can get around to it. Yep. It's only course by course at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good.